It's a strange feeling that today I have to write my mother's eulogy. Some personal thought about my mother who has passed to the great beyond. Beyond the non-forbidden land, that is how we call it in Esan, Nigeria, because no one really knows how deep and lowly that part of our life is, and we must journey that road alone. What a day. Like many Esan women and African quite generally, my mother was a vibrant soul, hardworking and ready to provide for her 9 children when none of us could feed for ourselves. My mother, Mrs. Maria Ewanfoh, literally was an emblem of peace and simplicity whenever she entered the room. And right up until she became less able to get around, Mom was full of joy and always eager to help out. How life dwindled us down like a falling giant, and we barely even stand like we used to. But this is life, and it is a cycle, and no one has the power to stop it from spinning around and around until we disappear from the scene, just like we came. In her vigor, her prime time, and this I am a testimony, my mother could literally lift a heavy log of wood to her head, and with no one to help her, and she would trek several kilometers from the farm to our village, Idumugulu, Amendokian Uromi. On the day she would set the log of wood, she would again, before daybreak, lift the log of wood to her head and trek several kilometers to Uromi town. All this so she could make little change to feed her family. This is the woman I am talking about. Being a mother of good 9 children, all of us alive today, Mrs. Grace, Mr. Emmanuel, Mr. Godday, Mr. Saturday, Mr. Ogbemudia, Mr. Famous, myself, Obehi, Mrs. Odegwa, and Mr. Friday Ewanfoh. My mother has literally triumphed to the great beyond. Yes, I have tears rolling down my eye this moment as I put down my thoughts about my mother. But this is not the moment of agony. This is the moment of truth and reflection. A saying has it that it's not only the dead that you are crying, because the dead is free and no longer bound by the troubles of this world, and whatever that might mean to us. On the contrary, it is you that you cry. So how are you living, knowing that one day you too shall journey that narrow path alone? It's painful that I'm not in Uromi right now with my siblings to bid the final farewell to my mother, but it is okay. Sometimes in life, some things are beyond our control, and we just have to accept them and learn to live with them. I was in primary 2 when I lost my father, and I still remember that gloomy day like yesterday. I still remember myself and my 2 younger ones, Friday and Odegwa, and Famous, my immediate elder brother. We were so tiny, the 4 of us. I still remember how a black ribbon was tied around our hands to scare off the evil spirit. That is a question of Esan traditional belief, that the spirit of the dead, or one pretended to be, can come to hurt the children. This is one of the things I never really understand about some of our traditional beliefs. Why would a man who never harmed his children when alive come to do them any evil now that he is dead? Well, the conventional belief among many Africans is that the dead, having passed to the great beyond, do actually protect their children. They really should stand in the gate of life and death, interceding for those they have left behind. Because humans as we are, we will always err and come short of our expectations. If you think about it, depending on your level of understanding, then it might make sense to you why we must enjoy the intercession of our ancestors, because they brought us to this world. They taught us everything we know and we ever know about ourselves and the world we live in. And like Esan people will say, may your father or mother who has passed to the great beyond bring you a fortune. This is a question of faith in our tradition and culture. Now, did I say that my mother was romantic? Of course she was. And how best could she prove it? And through us, her children, 7 men and 2 women. Can you get a better record than that? I did not say my father was rich, nor does love or family value strictly tied to material wealth. In fact, our family was one of the poorest of the entire community. One of the things I remembered about my mother is that she never stopped praying for us, her children. Yes, my mother died as a practicing Catholic, but one thing to be pointed out there is that the content of her prayer were the same even before she became a Christian. What I mean is that, like many other Africans, the concept of God consciousness was not new to my mother even before she became a Christian. I remember when my mother used to say, whenever we tried to convince her to come to the church with us, God is in the heart. Now, many years have gone and I can see that my mother was right. My mother did have some bad moments with us too. But there is one thing I want to single out there. After we have acted wrongly and she had disciplined us or asked our elder brother to discipline us, and we then recoil to ourselves, maybe crying, and not wanting to come out of our self-isolation, she will come to pet us. If she had used any bad words during the encounter, you will hear my mother say a thing like, "Let it go, I didn't mean it." The peck of a hen doesn't kill her chicks, she would say, and she was right about that too. How do I know? Because I have never seen a hen killing her own chicks with her peck. My mother should be like 16 years old when she married my father. I don't remember hearing my elderly brothers and sisters talking about the choreography of the marriage or any fancy lifestyle in our family. Remember, I already said we were a very poor family. For this reason, a lot of things could have been waived so as to pay attention to the real things. And the real thing was there, the family. Making sure there was something to eat and all that. If you are from Amedokia and you are old enough, you will understand that Mr. Ewanfoh, my father, had a particular talent. He could sing and help you transform your sorrow into blessing. That is how he would have conquered the heart of my mother, and the two would live happily as husband and wife till death do them apart. One of the last memories of my mother is simple, and it's about the incident that happened many years ago. Now, through a series of adventures, one of my eldest brothers traveled to Kafachan, a town located in the southern part of Kaduna, Nigeria. He was trying to make something out of his life, but it didn't turn out well. And news came back home that my brother was suffering in Kafachan. I remember how my mother cried to different people asking for immediate intervention on how to bring my brother back. I don't want anything to happen to my son. He is my son, I heard her say at the time. As you already know by now, my mother was still having 8 children, excluding my brother who was in trouble in Kaduna. But she wouldn't take it. She wanted all her children complete, and she could fight anything that stood in her path. That is the woman we are talking about, a woman with a big heart. If you are asking what it might take to be a great woman, then there is no better example than this very demonstration of a mother. Mama, it is a great privilege to write this eulogy to express the sadness that all of us, your children, daughters-in-law, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren share over your departure. We will always love you until we meet to part no more. Obehi Ewanfoh.